Yo, what's up, guys? It's MMA Analyst here to give you my betting picks for UFC 143. Let's get right down to it. Main event: Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. This is a tough one. I mean, it's really all about whether or not Nick Diaz can avoid getting caught by Carlos Condit. I do think Carlos Condit has one punch, kick, or a knee knockout power. He's also very good on the ground. So I mean, he's a very well-rounded fighter. This is a fight between two very well-rounded fighters. If Condit had any edge, I would say it is with his wrestling. Definitely, Nick Diaz won't be able to take Condit down, but Nick doesn't really go for takedowns that often, so I don't think that'll be a problem. I think the main thing here is everything that Carlos Condit does and has been able to do on his feet has been dependent on him being able to move forward. And with Nick Diaz, it's kind of like a few things, like there's like rules, and then everything else comes after that. Nick Diaz doesn't move backwards. So then you kind of work from there. Nick Diaz doesn't move backwards, so that means Carlos Condit will be moving backwards. And if Carlos Condit's moving backwards, then all of his jumping knees, all of his striking, it will all be moving backwards, which very few people have knockout power moving backwards. And even those people that did have knockout power moving backwards, the other guys were normally running into punches. And one thing we know about Nick Diaz is he's, not only is he extremely talented, but he's really tough. So if by some chance he did get dropped, kind of the way he does in maybe half of his fights, he's going to get right back up calmly and find a way to win the fight. I see Nick Diaz just moving forward, throwing his punches, and just overwhelming Carlos Condit the same way he overwhelmed so many in the past. And these fighters, they just don't think that it can happen to them. And then all of a sudden they're getting hit 4 or 5 times every 2 seconds. And where's your counter when you're getting just bombarded nonstop by, you're not going to get somebody to train with you for this. Like, you can't just say keep throwing punches, because that doesn't normally work out, but it does for Nick. I think Nick is going to be moving forward. He's going to get the win, and this is going to be it's a platinum pick for Nick Diaz. Roy Nelson versus Fabricio Werdum. This is a toss-up. You can go either way. If you take money, put money on Roy Nelson, then you're going to get slightly better money, as he is the underdog. If you put money on Fabricio Werdum, I think he's still only like a solid minus 145. So, I mean, and it looks like people are putting money on Roy Nelson, as Werdum's, the line for Werdum is, getting better for people who want to bet. And for Roy Nelson, he's becoming less of an underdog. I'm going to go with a gold pick for Fabricio Werdum. Roy Nelson, I think he will be the aggressor. But I think a lot of his aggression will just be moving forward. He doesn't really move forward with punches. He'll move forward and then throw a wild punch and, lock up against the fence and then maybe go for a half-hearted takedown and then start over. And I think Werdum, with his superior striking and solid ground game, I don't think it'll go to the ground, but I think he'll be able to avoid being knocked out while also, I don't want to say picking apart, but definitely being the, having the higher percentage of connection with the strikes, just being more, having a mind blank for what that word is. But anyways, I think Werdum will just be able to hit Roy Nelson more often, even though Roy Nelson is probably going to be moving forward. And, Roy Nelson's cardio didn't look too good in his past couple fights. Werdum's obviously didn't look good in his last fight. It's a tough fight either way. If you want to put money on either one of these guys, I can't really fault you. I'm going to go with Werdum because, if it does happen to go to the ground, Werdum is better on the ground. That is a fact. And on the feet, Werdum definitely has a better technical striking. The one advantage Roy Nelson has was probably going to be his aggression. and knockout power. So I'm going to go with Fabricio Werdum, gold pick. Josh Koscheck versus Mike Pierce. This should be unless Mike Pierce, really comes to, to do his thing here. I don't really see him taking out Josh. I don't really see him taking out Josh Koscheck. His last fight against Johnny Hendricks, split decision loss. His other wins have been over, Paul Bradley, Kenny Robinson, Amilcar Alves, Julio Polino. Basically, nobody of any consequence. And then he had a decent win at the time. It was a good win over Brock Larson. Brock Larson has shown that his win streak kind of ended with Mike Pierce, and he's never looked the same. Never being able to beat any decent names from that point on. But anyways, Mike Pierce is a wrestler with okay hands, and Josh Koscheck is a better wrestler with more powerful hands. I'm gonna go with Josh Koscheck. He's fought tougher fighters. He's been in the game for a long time. I believe Mike Pierce has too. How long? Since 2007. Josh Koscheck obviously much longer than that. 2004. Fought tougher opponents, had bigger wins, faced bigger guys, better wrestlers, just better all around. It is going to be a platinum pick for Josh Koscheck. My only reason it's not a diamond pick is Josh Koscheck might want to go out there and stand with Mike Pierce. If he does that, he does risk the possibility of getting caught and knocked out, as he does like to throw a lot of wild, loopy punches. And I think if Mike Pierce goes, toe-to-toe with Josh Koscheck, he'll be going straight down the middle. Possibility for an upset. But, it is a very confident pick on Josh Koscheck. And the number minus 245 line, that's pretty good for this kind of a fight. So, Josh Koscheck, top 5. Mike Pierce, I don't know. He can't be top 10, maybe top 15. Top 20, maybe. So, It's a platinum pick for Josh Koscheck. Renan Barão versus Scott Jorgensen. This is pretty simple. Scott Jorgensen has the better wrestling. Renan Barão has the better everything else. And it's not just a better everything else, but it's kind of like, I've said it before, it's kind of like Jose Aldo. Solid takedown defense. If he does get taken down, he's got amazing jiu-jitsu. He sub you, sweep you, all type of stuff. Very active from his back. If he gets you from the top, he'll definitely can sub you. Well-rounded fighter. Fast hands. He'll be the better striker. He's just basically just a really good fighter all around. And Jorgensen will be coming in here with one thing on mind, is that's getting takedowns and then trying to not get submitted. It's going to be a diamond pick for Renan Barão. Let me see the odds on this. Yeah, another one, minus 220. That's pretty good. Like I said, if Scott Jorgensen can come out here and take Renan Barão down over and over again and tire him out, that's the only way he can win this. And I think if he does that early in the fight, he risks the serious possibility of getting swept, losing top control. Barão is serious. In his last fight, who was he facing? Last fight, Barão faced, Brad Pickett, solid wrestler as well. Caught him and immediately put him in a chokehold. And in this fight, let me see, Jorgensen, he has a win over Jeff Curran, Ken Stone, lost to Dominic Cruz, also has a win over Brad Pickett. He's faced some tough guys as well. And pretty much only lost to some of the, he lost to Benuelos. Should have done that, but Dominic Cruz and Demasio Page, solid fighters. Obviously Cruz. So I do think Barão though is going to be too much for Jorgensen, and I think he wins this fight. And if Nick Diaz isn't the fight of the night, which obviously you should bet on that, Barão will be the fight of the night with Scott Jorgensen. Ed Herman, Clifford Starks. I see Ed Herman being better at everything. Absolutely everything. Maybe not better at, in general, his grappling will be better, but the wrestling of Clifford Starks may be better. But I have Ed Herman being able to finish this fight. TKO, submission, really whatever presents itself. Potentially starts off with a TKO, ends with the submission. And I don't see this fight going the distance as well. So if you want to put a bet on that, just this fight doesn't go the distance, I'm pretty sure that'll be a solid bet. As for who I think is going to win, I think it'll be Ed Herman. And like I said, probably I think I'm going to go with the submission here. But yeah, he, striking better, submission, jiu-jitsu better, just all around experience, who he's fought, everything. It's all in Ed Herman's favor. So yeah, it's going to be a pick for Ed Herman. Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, this is pretty simple. Diamond pick for Dustin Poirier. Obviously, this is a diamond pick that, the numbers aren't the greatest, minus 450. But Max Holloway really has no business being in there with Dustin Poirier. I think Poirier literally is going to be better at everything and probably have his way pretty quick. I'm going to go with a submission over Max Holloway. I do not think this fight goes to the decision. Alex Caceres versus Edwin Figueroa. This is going to be a gold pick for Edwin Figueroa. Caceres has looked pretty decent actually in his last couple fights. I think a loss and a win. Cole Escovedo win. Jim Hedis. Looking back at what Jim Hedis just did to Nam Fan, you think, whoa, exactly what was going on. Caceres was actually able to put up a decent fight with Jim Hedis. But I think Figueroa is just going to obviously he's going to have the better hands. Grappling wise, I think he's going to at least be just as good. Edwin Figueroa is most likely the better fighter, and I can't see why he wouldn't be able to get this win. It's not by any stretch a blowout. Caceres could go for takedowns and pull something off on the ground, but I don't see Caceres submitting Figueroa, and I definitely don't see him knocking him out. So if those two things don't happen, and I also don't see Caceres, laying on him for 3 rounds, I've got Caceres winning this fight. I've got Figueroa winning this fight. Gold pick for Edwin Figueroa. Matt Brown versus Chris Cope. I'm never going to bet on Matt Brown again, or even, consider his fights. I don't even know why he's in the UFC. Really, he should beat Chris Cope. This should be a win for him. I think they're throwing him a softball. But, he's 1-4 in his last 5. He had a 3-fight losing streak, fought John Howard 1, lost to Seth Baczynski. He's actually been submitted. He's been finished in all 4 of his last 4 losses. Yeah, it's a do not bet, obviously. I'm not saying to bet on Chris Cope because Chris Cope really shouldn't be able to beat Matt Brown, but I don't know. All right, next fight, Henry Martinez versus Matt Riddle. This is probably, maybe a really good opportunity. So I said probably, then maybe. This is a good opportunity to put money on a plus 300 fighter that shouldn't be plus 300. First things first, Matt Riddle, average at best. Probably below average at best. No real solid wins. His actual skill set is pretty weak, terrible on the feet, and if anything, he has a little bit of strength and some wrestling. Now, he'll be fighting Henry Martinez, and I think the reason why it's plus 300, number one, it's his first time in the UFC. Number two, he took the fight on 5, 6, 7 days notice, right? So you look at that and, you're like, whoa, he's obviously a big underdog. Well, he's fought twice in the last month and a half. He fought on the 21st of January, so that's just, 10 days ago or whatnot. And then he also fought December the 9th, 2011. So he's been active. He trains with Greg Jackson, Jackson Submission Fightings. And I watched a couple of his fights, including one with Wilson Hayes, who, is solid prospect at one point, and definitely a tougher fight than Matt Riddle. He ended up losing that, but he went all 3 rounds. This also was a few years ago, 2009. So I really think that this is an opportunity to put a little bit of money down on a 3-1 underdog and come out the other side with with 3 times more than you put in. Doesn't happen often in MMA, to be honest, where you have a minus 300 guy that you're not just putting the money down on just in case. I legitimately think that Henry Martinez is going to win this fight. And I think it'll most likely be by, it could be by a decision, but I'm thinking it's going to be by submission. So I'm going to pick Henry Martinez by submission. And to be honest, I'm going to put a little amount, but I think Henry Martinez by submission, if that's even an option on some sites, because they normally don't give too many options for the lesser known name guys. As a plus 300 for the outright win, I think by submission would at least be maybe plus 600. So take a look into that. I'm going to look into it for sure. Henry Martinez, underdog, and not just a bet that I think is a cool bet to make because he's I do think that he's going to win this fight. So there you go. It's going to be at the end a gold pick for Henry Martinez. Rafael Natal versus Michael Kuipe is going to be a gold pick for Natal. I think he's going to be able to get the fight to the ground and submit Kuipe. Jiu-jitsu, Natal, black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Not that great all around, but I mean, on the ground, he should be able to take this fight and get the win. And then last is a do not bet. Stephen Thompson over Dan Stittgen. I think Stephen Thompson, we'll see what happens here. Stephen Thompson is, pretty good on his feet in general. And he'll be fighting Stittgen, who's got decent ground game. It says Stephen Thompson is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know how you become a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while you have 56 kickboxing matches and you're all over the place in your stand-up game. So I'm not sure how it's possible. It says he does train with Carlos Machado. I was thinking about giving this a Thompson, Stephen Thompson, let's say a gold pick or a silver pick. But I'm going to hold off on this one. If you do have to pick somebody for that fight, because you're going to put together one of those long shot parlays, put the money on, or put it with Thompson. And that's it. UFC 143. It looks like it's going to be a pretty entertaining card. Good luck, everybody. MMA, it's important. Peace.